I said at the outset, sticks can come in many shapes and forms. One of the things I want to just take a quick second to address here is this understanding of alignment with the power line, but in relationship to different types of stick forms. So in this case, I'm using a junior T-ball bat, a little mini baseball bat, which is fantastic because it's like an old pirate club. It's got a little bit of weight to the end and it gives you some power. So when I start to swing, nothing changes with this little baseball bat. This is just a conventional, straight, old school stick. So it's all the same. What I want to see is that if I'm delivering palm up, I am cutting through like a knife hand, right? Woo! Like that old Jimi Hendrix lyric. I'm standing next to a mountain and I chop it down with the edge of my hand. I want to go all the way through. So I want to be cautious about prematurely rotating. If it was baseball, we would be smacking the ball, and then only after would we be rotating our wrists over. I would be hitting and rotating over. I would not be hitting sooner. But a lot of people do exactly that when they start to think of it combatively. They start to rotate and, in essence, hit with the side of their grip. It's hard to see because the baseball bat or a conventional stick is round, so you don't think of it as having sides. But if my palm is not up at the point of impact in a conventional shot, and my door-knocking knuckles are not forward, then I'm not getting the maximum delivery of power that I could have, right? That's what I want to see, as opposed to this. When I start to hit with the side, what happens when I hit with the side is that now my grip starts to get challenged. When I hit with the so-called blade of that bat, if you would think of it as such, now I have more finger presence here to counterbalance that impact. Now, that may seem self-evident, but let's now go to something like a side-handle baton. So in the Japanese martial arts, they'd be known as a tonfa. In tactical circles, these are called PR-24s. They were created by the company Monadnock. It stands for Protect and Restrain 24 inches. That's the code for it. The idea with a PR-24, or a side-handle baton of any type, is that now I can couch it a number of different ways. I can hold that along the forearm to use it for blocking. I can hit with the pommel. I can punch with the short end. I can whip with the long portion. I can switch grips and hold both the handle and the short portion, and I can hit. I can use it in a sword grip where this serves as a guard. A number of different ways. I can use it in an elongated position. I can jab with all 3 points of it. I can hook, I can lock. But let's just consider power line. If I'm using it like a conventional stick, nothing will change. Door-knocking knuckles will go forward. But let's now imagine I start to think of the PR-24 in a rotational capacity. Now in a standard rotational or a power spin, when I start to spin, what is in effect happening is I am hitting with the side. So because I'm hitting with the flat of the blade, if you would, which is how the spin works, if I have anything less than fully perfect elongation, if I'm not completely in line with my arm at the moment of impact, if the weapon is out of alignment, what will happen is the stick will start to come back to me. So I will show you a faulty swing where I'm impacting at the wrong time. And when I impact at the wrong time, I have poor alignment. By comparison, if I impact at the fullest elongation, then I'm able to carry the strike through to my chamber. So usually when you see people striking and unable to bring it around to the other side, it's because they've hit prematurely, as opposed to at a point of alignment, and then pulling it around. So that very simple motion of spinning it, again coming from the hips, relies even more so now on alignment. Then there are other strikes with this, like power chops or power strikes, where the secondary hand can be placed here. And now both hands are working together, but the stick is rotating so that when it arrives, it is fundamentally a backhand swing, where my door-knocking knuckles are now back in alignment, a conventional swing, and my second hand is simply a support. It's couching the weapon, and now I'm hitting this way. So still a backhand swing, and my stick is aligning. There are even other sticks on the market that, in response to the PR-24, sought to simplify the cutting angle. And then what they sought to do was give a handle wherein the weapon required even less training and was automatically in alignment with the forearm. So this is much more of a whipping action. The idea here is that I don't have to have as much grip intelligence. It stops me from sliding on both ends. It's always perfectly in alignment with the center of the forearm. It's a bit tougher to carry and remove. It doesn't have as many applications and uses. This is called a quick stick because it is, by argument, a faster weapon. PR-24, for my money, has more variety, especially for trapping and snaring, and it's superior for blocking, whereas this really only has rather forced, limited blocks. But at the end of the day, guys, all of these, while they're good, I would just favor a good old straight stick. And in fact, a short little $10 mini baseball bat from a Toys R Us or from a kid's sporting store is still my preferred choice for under the bed home defense. It's good in tight corridors, and it lets you get really good impact easily. But no matter what you're doing, you need to understand alignment. What often happens is people will look to a PR-24 and say, well, that guy's slapping with the side of it. Without even realizing it, they've internalized it. We need to have, and then as a result, when they go to a straight stick, they start to have bad form. We see this most notably when I teach defensive tactics. If somebody has trained in both the PR-24 and the extendable baton without clarity in the power line, they start to overlap, and they tend to have the wrong power line in each weapon, or one for both, which is wrong 50% of the time. So if you are using something like a side handle baton, recognize that sometimes you are forced in spinning actions to slap with the so-called side of the blade. But as a result of that, there is even greater dependency on hitting at a moment of pristine alignment. If you're using a conventional stick, you have both. You want to make sure you're both hitting with the cutting edge always, all the time, and that you hit at a moment of greatest possible extension so that you maximize your power. Understanding power line is key to everything that you do. And when you start looking at most people manipulating weapons, you'll quickly be able to discern who has a good base and who doesn't.